Oh man, we are oh so close to confirming who's a champion, who's a Champions League competitor, who's relegated, who's getting promoted. So many things. And we'll go through that in the weekend recap here on Rabona TV with me, Adrian. And as per usual, a thank you to our friends over at OneFootball who have sponsored this video. Now, OneFootball is the best app in the game if you like getting breaking news, absolutely the fastest about the clubs and teams you are interested in, or if you like watching highlights, keeping up to date with live match tickers and scores, standings, and so much more. Free download for Android or iOS in the description. Free. And also, behold, as you stand witness to the great story that is the redemption of Peter Bosz, the man who did so well to take Ajax to the Europa League final and then failed so hard at Dortmund, despite his keen start to the season. When he signed with Leverkusen during the winter break, they were in 9th place. And despite a rough patch of form lately, they have now climbed up to 5th. This past weekend, they had an emphatic win, an almost nonsensical win, as they found themselves leading Eintracht Frankfurt 6-1 in the 36th minute. I'm sorry, let me say that again. They had a 6-1 lead in the 36th minute. The 36th minute. 6-1. That's madness, dude. Especially against a team of Frankfurt's, well, recent stature. Recent being before the Europa League quarterfinals. Hutter was clearly trying to rest some people, but in the 37th minute, when all hope was lost, he subbed on Luka Jovic and Mijat Gacinovic. Seemed pointless to me as they switched their formation up and they were already down 6-1, but hey, no problem. And that was how the match finished. In my opinion, they should have just abandoned that match. Why bring on Luka Jovic? Why bring on Gacinovic? Luckily for Eintracht, Borussia Mönchengladbach can't win a match to save their life these days, so they remain 2 points ahead of them. By the way, Frankfurt hasn't won any of their last 4 matches in the Bundesliga either, and now they are on equal points with Bayer Leverkusen as they battle for 4th. Man, 4th is the hottest ticket around town. And by town, I mean Europe. Also, VfB Stuttgart has officially been shafted by the rest of the Bundesliga boys because they are officially the Bundesliga representative for the relegation playoff after their loss to Hertha Berlin this weekend. So we wish them luck there, but we don't know who they're facing yet because in Bundesliga 2, something wild happened there as every single team in the top 8 lost, meaning there was no change at all to the top part of the table as the bottom half of the table won this round. Bizarre. Mind you, the league leaders FC Köln play today, so they could extend their lead to 8 points with 2 matches to go, thus winning the second Bundesliga, or the Bundesliga 2. So yeah, if things were to stay as they are now in the relegation promotion playoff, Union Berlin would be facing VfB Stuttgart with a place in the Bundesliga on the line, or a place in the second Bundesliga on the line, depending on what kind of outlook you have on life. So at the top of the table, following Borussia Dortmund's match with Werder Bremen, my man Connor Ramler hit me up on Twitter saying, "So, Dortmund lost the title." Looking back on it, I think the 3-3 draw with Hoffenheim was the turning point. Being 3-0 up just to draw has a lot of psychological effects on players. Thoughts? First off, thanks for reaching out, dude. And for anyone else out there who wants to reach out, please do. You can find me at Rabona_TV on Twitter. I reply to more tweets than I do comments. Comments, I usually read them for the first hour or so, and then I just stop. Stop replying at least. I still read them, but I can't be replying to comments all day, you know what I'm saying? And second of all, that's a great point. A really good point. And looking back on all of their fixtures, I think you're right, man. So that 3-3 came right after another 3-3. The first one being with Werder Bremen, but in the DFB Pokal. The damage that Hoffenheim match must have done to the players, though, is pretty staggering, as you said. In every match after that, they would never feel comfortable with their leads, and when things start to go bad for them, they tend to snowball out of control. Look at the match against Bayern, losing 5-0, or the recent Revier Derby loss to Schalke, where they capitulated and lost 2 players to Reds, and the match itself 4-2 to Schalke. And it bled into their European competition as well. After they looked so sharp in the group stage, they looked shook in the Champions League against Tottenham, losing 3-0 just a few days after that Hoffenheim draw. So good point, Connor. Thanks for reaching out. Now, with Bayern Munich defeating Hannover 96 3-1 this weekend, by the way, Franck Ribéry announced he was leaving Bayern Munich as well. So yeah, with that win, it meant that Bayern opened up a 4-point lead over Borussia Dortmund with 2 matches remaining. Bayern play the unbeaten in 14 matches RB Leipzig next, then finish off with Eintracht Frankfurt. They need 3 points from their final 2 matches. If they lose both and Borussia Dortmund win both of theirs, Dortmund would be champions. Just not looking likely, is it? I mean, never say never. RB Leipzig and Eintracht are two teams that could beat Bayern, but will they beat Bayern? Speaking of champions, Ajax played in the KNVB Cup final against Willem II, and by the time the first half was up, they had a 2-0 lead over their opponents. Klaas-Jan Huntelaar scored a brace that was bookended by strikes from Daley Blind and Rasmus Christensen. 4-0 was the final, as Ajax pick up their first piece of silverware for this season of a possible 3, so congrats to them. People were sad that I glossed over Italy last week, so let's take a quick look at the Serie A. I actually watched the second half of Juventus versus Torino, and it really wasn't all that engaging, to be honest with you. I was hoping to get some cheap thrills from the Torino derby, but I guess I was looking in the wrong place because all that Torino and Juve could muster up was a 1-1 draw, with Ronaldo and his towering heading ability coming to the rescue for Juve once again. That was his 21st in the Serie A, which puts him just 1 goal behind Duvan Zapata, who is in second, of course, because Quagliarella is having a career high of a season with 25 goals so far. Dude's running away with it. And speaking of Zapata though, he and the rest of Atalanta played away to Lazio this Sunday with major title aspirations on the line. The title in question, of course, being the coveted top 4 in Italy. So, with Atalanta 4 points ahead of Lazio, they showed up to the Stadio Olimpico and smacked around the hosts, leaving there with a 3-1 win. Roma and Torino, they drew, not with each other, but respectively, and Milan doesn't play until today, Monday, but even if they win, they still would be 3 points behind Atalanta. Nice little 4th place race there in Italy. Tongue twister. Let's see how many more tongue twisters I get in here. In Spain, we know things are wrapped up already. Barca lost 2-0 to Celta Vigo, but they fielded their academy players and bench boys. Was half expecting to see good old Douglas to pop out of nowhere and make a shock return to the Barcelona starting 11. God, that guy was so crap. That win for Celta Vigo actually helped them a ton with their great escape from relegation, putting them 3 points above Girona. Atletico Madrid lost 3-0 to Espanyol, and despite Real Madrid winning 3-2 versus Villarreal at home, Atletico Madrid already has second place buttoned up going into the final 2 matches. Well, they will, so long as they get 1 point. The championship wrapped up this weekend, and what a fine finish it was. Norwich were confirmed champions, finishing their final 2 matches of the season with 2 wins to take the championship title with 5 points to spare over Sheffield United. Norwich defeated Aston Villa away 2-1 with a goal from who else but Teemu Pukki, who finished the season as the league's top scorer with 29 goals. Derby County and their manager Frank Lampard confirmed their place in the promotion playoffs with a victory against 4th placed West Brom at home. That was good practice for their upcoming playoffs, actually, getting a result like that against another contender. Leeds, on the other hand, whom Derby County will be facing in the playoffs, lost to bottom of the table terrible Ipswich Town, who played with 10 men for the last 10 minutes and still found a way to get a winner to go out of the championship with a bang. So a 3-2 loss for Leeds on the final match day. Not great. And the other one is a showdown of crusty Premier League teams of past, Aston Villa and West Brom. I'm sorry. By crusty Premier League clubs of the past, I of course meant classic storied clubs with great histories. In fact, we actually know which teams they will be replacing if they are to make it through the playoffs, as all 3 Premier League dropouts have been confirmed. First, there was Huddersfield, then Fulham, and finally, with Cardiff's loss at home to Crystal Palace 3-2, they confirmed that Neil Warnock is going back down to where he likes it the most, the championship grind. He likes that. He's gone on the record numerous times talking about how he prefers it down there, though also he hasn't had a fair shake in the Prem. Regardless, I actually thought he was going to escape the drop, but 3 losses in a row condemned them to their fate. The team who is officially safe now, Brighton, who got a 1-1 draw with Arsenal at the Emirates. Pretty wild, though not at all that unbelievable given Arsenal's form lately. Not the greatest watch, this one, as neither of the goals came from open play, each of them being a penalty, but hey, Aubameyang became the 3rd African this season to hit 20 plus goals in the Prem, so there's that, I guess. Shout out to the Africans leading the way. Pretty weak way for Arsenal to play for their fans on the final home match of the season. Not only that, what it did to their top 4 chances going into the final match day. So Arsenal missed out on the opportunity to come within 2 points of 4th place Spurs with just 1 match remaining. A battered and bruised Spurs side that will now have to play their final match of the season without Heung-Min Son. The guy lashed out during their match this weekend against Bournemouth, and got himself sent off and suspended for the next match. Juan Foyth came on in the second half to help, shore things up defensively for Spurs, but just 3 minutes into the half, he got himself sent off as well. Spurs down to 9 men, and they ended up losing at the death in the 91st minute, thanks to a Nathan Ake header. Spurs have lost 13 times this season, and yet somehow they're still within a shout of finishing in third. That just illustrates the divide between the top 2 teams in the league and the rest of them. It has been a shit show from 3rd to 6th. Oh, and you want further proof? Already dead, horrible Huddersfield, who had collected 14 points so far this season, hosted Manchester United and managed to get their 15th point of the season with a 1-1 draw on Sunday. After Scott McTominay put United ahead thanks to an error from Losel in goal, Huddersfield got the equalizer in the 60th minute thanks to Isaac Mbenza. Not Emil Mapenza, like I always want to say, Isaac Mbenza and Emil Mapenza. Pogba hit the woodwork twice, United rained hellfire down on Losel, but they just couldn't find a winner against 20th place Huddersfield, the first of the 3 relegated Premier League sides to nick a point off of one of the top 6 clubs this season. Which is, I guess, a nice little achievement for them as they're heading down. But, I mean, this race for 4th is not a race. It's basically Spurs, Arsenal, and United beating themselves over the head with a club over and over, seeing who will be the last one standing at the end of it all. So far, United has fallen out of the race, so that point was only good enough for them to secure Europa League for next season. They'll be enjoying some Thursday nights in the far reaches of Europe, which is, I don't know. I mean, it could be fine if they make their way to winning another Europa League title. Hey, get Mourinho back in there. Bring it home. Well, we don't know if they'll be playing in the Europa League yet, as they've currently just qualified for the second round of qualifying. If they nab 5th from Arsenal, then they qualify directly for the group stage. Chelsea clinched a place in the Champions League as their 3-0 win over Watford at home put them over 71 points. Put them on 71, I should say. They did it. In their last home match of the season, they went out and secured the bag with a very competent win over Watford. Loftus-Cheek, David Luiz, and Gonzalo Higuain provided the goals. Hazard putting in another incredible performance with 2 assists. That means he's almost equaled his goals and assist numbers now. 16 goals, 15 assists. Also got to give a big props to Kepa, who made a killer save in this match, which saw the ball destined for the top corner. Big wow. Big wow there for me. So, Chelsea fans, now that you have the Champions League football locked down, or at least a playoff spot, a qualifying spot in there, and the potential of winning a Europa League title, still Frankfurt to get through and the final, but still, with how things are looking, are you guys sorry in or sorry out at this point? Haven't pulled the audience in a while on that matter, so I'm curious to see where you're at. And finally, Liverpool got a massive 3-2 win over Newcastle that has some fans of opposing teams shaking an angry, grumpy finger at Fabinho, grumpy neighbor style. Why? Well, in the Rafa Benitez derby this weekend, a lose-lose match for Benitez, by the way, Newcastle fought hard and provided a threat throughout once in a while against Liverpool's side that, as expected, dominated the match through long periods of play. But to be honest, they didn't generate many more big opportunities than Newcastle. With it all tied up at 2-2 in the final 10 minutes of the match, Fabinho took a nice dive to win a free kick. Shaqiri took the free kick. Don't know where they finally found him. Little guy is easy to lose, I guess, because he rarely gets playing time these days. But anyways, he took the free kick and Origi converted, giving Liverpool the 3-2 win. Big man, big dive, big goal in the title race, confirming that the win will ensure that it will come down to the final day in the Premier League, regardless of whether or not City wins on Monday. If City win against Leicester on Monday, today, the title is theirs to lose on the final match day. But anything but a win means that Liverpool will be in the driver's seat with either a 1 or a 2-point lead. So yeah, we have Champions League watch-alongs coming this week, more FIFA content later in the week, etc., etc. It will be a full week, so get used to me. I'll be around. All right, enjoy your week, guys. I'm Adrian. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.